This is what 36 eggs looks like, which is what I'm gonna eat in a day.
Correction, this is what stupidity looks like.
This is what 252 eggs looks like, which is what I'm gonna eat in a week.
So for those of you who don't know Tanner Shuck, he's the guy in that clip with the receding hairline holding up the bunch of eggs, and he runs a health and fitness channel, and it turns out he's not very good at the health part because he decided to upload a video talking about why he thinks eggs are healthy. And, in typical fashion, I'm going to explain why that's stupid, why everything he said is stupid, and why you shouldn't listen to his stupid shit.
And for those new to my channel, I'm Tanner Shuck. I'm a lifetime natural lifter. I'm strong, lean, fit, and consider myself very healthy. But is eating 36 eggs a day healthy?
No, it's not. And don't worry, you're going to find out why in just a minute.
Let's discuss what makes eggs so great. Here's what you need to know. Eggs are a superfood and they contain a shitload of nutrients such as biotin, vitamin D, vitamin K, choline, selenium, iodine. I could keep going.
Okay, so he made two really stupid statements here. First of all, eggs are not a superfood, and the reason for that is there's no such thing as superfoods. Superfood is a marketing term. There's no scientific classification of what makes something a superfood or not. It is just a term made up by marketing teams to try to get you to buy certain food products. So your mom's pussy is as much of a superfood as eggs are. Superfoods are not real. Neither is Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, ghosts aren't real, God doesn't exist, there's no afterlife, and when you die, you're going to rot in the ground and get eaten by fucking worms. And secondly, eggs are not particularly nutrient dense. You can look this up for yourself on a site like Chronometer. Eggs do not have that much nutrition for a single egg. Now, if you eat 36 eggs in a day, that will add up, but that comes at the expense of a lot of cholesterol and a fair bit of saturated fat, which is not particularly good for your heart. Now, if you compare an egg to a serving of something like nutritional yeast has way more B vitamins. It also has a lot more mineral content, including iron, zinc, and selenium. So are eggs particularly nutrient dense compared to other foods? No. So why would you choose eggs over other foods when they come at the expense of saturated fat and cholesterol? I don't know, maybe you're stupid and you want to eat eggs? That could be a reason. Are they a superfood? Oh, I don't know. Is the Easter Bunny real? Did you get anything from Santa for Christmas?
Now, is eating massive amounts of eggs really like taking steroids? Well, Vince Gironda, the godfather of bodybuilding, has been saying this since the 1950s and would regularly consume up to 30 whole eggs and unlimited amounts of meat throughout the day. And who looks healthier, Vince Gironda or the average American of today?
I have never seen anybody refer to Vince Gironda as the godfather of bodybuilding. He is not a big figure in the sport like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Ronnie Coleman. He does not have a big competitive history. He only competed in a few shows, and he's tiny. He's 5'8" tall, and in the photo you showed of him, he only weighed 165 pounds. I'm not impressed. Like, I'm assuming the only reason he brought up Vince Gironda is because he's the only guy who ate a ton of eggs that looks half decent that he could find. Well, again, I'm not impressed. So you're telling me if I eat 36 eggs a day, I can be skinny and weak like Vince Gironda? Oh, sign me up.
Now, all I can say is for the past 16 weeks, I've been in a bulking phase and I've been regularly eating 12 to 24 eggs and 4,000 to 5,000 calories per day, going from a lean 200 pounds at the start to 225 pounds currently. And it's important to note, I am natural. Yes, I've gained some body fat and water weight, but I've undeniably gained size and strength, adding over 50 pounds to my back squat and deadlift and close to 20 pounds to my overhead press and bench press. Now, if you don't believe me, there was me squatting over 4 or 5 for reps. Now, is it because I've been crushing all those eggs? I'm not sure, but I can say for sure I do feel stronger since I've increased my egg intake.
So you've been eating more, you've increased your protein and caloric intake, and you're training hard, and somehow you're attributing your gains to eggs specifically. Why? Are eggs magic? Are they a superfood? Is that why eggs are letting you build more muscle and get stronger? Or are you just eating more? Are you eating more protein, getting in more calories, and training harder? I wonder, it must be the superfood. And by the way, this guy is acting as if eating a ton of eggs and lots of cholesterol in your diet is somehow gonna like make you get more gains in the gym. Guess what? I've been vegan for 14 years. I have a diet that contains zero cholesterol. I don't eat any meat, dairy, or eggs for the last 14 years. And I absolutely mog this guy Tanner, at least in upper body lifts. The most recent benching footage I could see of Tanner was about 3 months ago. He was benching 275 for a set of 4. He might have gotten stronger since then, but I don't think he's reached my level yet. My best benches have been 350 for sets of 5. I just did 355 for 4 sets of 3 just before I started filming this video. I've done 315 for a set of 9. I almost got 10 reps. How am I so much stronger than you when it comes to the bench press and other upper body lifts, but I eat zero cholesterol in my diet? I thought eggs were a superfood. Am I not missing out? Like, I seem to be doing fine just eating tofu. So, I don't know. I'm not so convinced that eggs are this superfood that, accelerate your gains. It doesn't seem to be working out so well for you.
Now, do eggs really improve healing and recovery? So not only did I feel stronger when eating more eggs, what really inspired me to make this video was a groundbreaking study from 1975 where burn patients who were fed 36 eggs per day for 30 days experienced rapid wound healing and recovering from their injuries, all while maintaining normal lipoprotein and cholesterol levels. The researchers concluded that a high egg diet is a valuable and safe addition in the management of severely burned patients. Furthermore, a similar study was conducted in 1978, where more severely burned patients were force-fed 7,000 calories per day, including 36 eggs. That's right, 7,000 calories a day, where they consumed 314 grams of protein, 600 grams of carbs, and 336 grams of fat, and ate over 8 grams of cholesterol daily. And I thought me eating 5,000 calories per day was a lot. Again, the burn victims experienced more rapid wound healing and all their cholesterol levels stayed within the normal range.
So Tanner is incredibly scientifically illiterate and he has no understanding of what he's reading. So this research he showed with the burn victims, all it shows is that burn victims require more nitrogen than a normal person in order to heal their wounds. That's it. If you have severe burns all over your body, your nitrogen needs increase massively, and there's been a lot of research on how to help burn victims heal faster. Some of this research involves anabolic steroids. So you can find a few papers where they use Anavar or exandrolone to increase nitrogen utilization in the body of burn victims, and lo and behold, because anabolic steroids increase nitrogen utilization, burn victims heal faster. Another way to increase nitrogen utilization is just to feed the body more nitrogen, and that can come from any source. You can get protein from eggs, from meat, from dairy, from tofu, from seitan, from beans, from any source. There's nothing special about eggs. The only thing this research shows is that, yeah, you can feed people a lot of eggs and their protein needs will be met. This shows nothing about a unique benefit that eggs have over other protein sources when it comes to wound healing and recovery. And don't worry, this isn't the last time Tanner misrepresents research. He does this many more times in the video, but I'm just wondering, I have an honest question. Are you too stupid to understand what you're reading? Or did you just cherry pick this research and misrepresent the results so that you could gaslight your audience into thinking eggs are good for you and they have magical healing properties because, they're a superfood? So which is it? Are you too stupid to understand the research you're reading, or are you just a liar?
Now, back to what I was saying about perspective. Why do people think it's crazy or unhealthy to eat 36 eggs a day, which is a natural food that humans have been eating since the dawn of mankind, but completely ignore the fact that their favorite fitness influencer has been using steroids for many years? I mean, what's really more unhealthy? Eating eggs or blasting steroids? I just hate the hypocrisy, and it's everywhere in the fitness industry.
So more stupid claims. Now he's claiming that eggs have to be healthy because they're natural. Just because something's natural doesn't mean it's good for you. Poison ivy's natural. Diseases, bacteria, viruses, those are natural. Are those good for you? So no, just on the basis of, eggs being natural, that doesn't mean they're healthy. This is also just whataboutism. He said, oh, what about bodybuilders taking steroids? Well, that has nothing to do with whether or not eggs are healthy.
Is eating 36 eggs a day safe? What about my cholesterol levels? And am I gonna die from a heart attack? Again, we must have perspective. I know 36 eggs sounds like a ridiculous amount, but just listen to this. 36 whole eggs is actually only 2,800 calories. My maintenance calories just to maintain my current body weight, given my muscle mass and activity level, is 3,500 calories. So if I just ate 36 eggs a day, I would lose weight.
Tanner literally does not understand how to formulate an argument. I'm not sure if he understands what an argument is. He just asked the question, are eggs safe? Are they healthy? And then he just talks about how 36 eggs only adds up to like 80% of my maintenance calories. Okay, what does that have to do with the question if they're safe or healthy? Nothing.
Now, I want you to think about it like this. Over half the population in America is obese. And let's compare the standard American diet of donuts for breakfast, burgers, fries, and a shake for lunch, and a stuffed crust pizza dinner while drinking a liter of Coke throughout the day. Want to take a guess how many calories that is? Roughly between 4,800 calories on the low end to 6,400 calories on the high end, depending on portion sizes and ingredients. Let's just average it out and call it 5,600 calories, which is literally double the calories that's in 36 whole eggs.
Again, this is just more whataboutism. He's not answering the question as to whether or not eggs are safe or healthy to eat. He's just going on about how the standard American diet is so bad. Doesn't matter how bad the standard American diet is, eggs could still be unhealthy for you, regardless of how bad other alternatives are. Like, bleach is bad for you. Maybe cyanide, like the poison, is worse for you. Does that make bleach good for you? No. Bleach is bad. Cyanide is also bad. Eggs are bad. Standard American diet is also bad. And he also claimed that the average American is consuming 5,600 calories per day. They are not. According to the UN and the FAO, your average American is consuming about 3,500 calories per day. So you're off by about 2,000 calories per day. I am assuming he came up with this random 5,600 number because he wants you to think eating 36 eggs per day is a good idea and that it's not too much to eat. Well, again, if you do the math, if you're eating 36 eggs per day, that would be more than your average American should be consuming in total daily calories. If you're athletic and fit and doing a lot of exercise, that's a different story. But for your average American who's mostly sedentary, doesn't lift, doesn't exercise, not in great shape, that's too much to eat still. So, yeah, I don't know why you're recommending 36 eggs per day for your average person. That would be too much to eat in eggs alone.
Tanner, what about your cholesterol? Now, what about my cholesterol? Well, let's talk about that because eggs only get a bad rap because they're high in protein and fat. But people ignore that it's high quality protein and essential fats. The egg yolk, which is the most nutritious part of the egg, primarily consists of high density lipoproteins, HDL, and low density lipoproteins, LDL, also known as cholesterol. But people forget while eggs do contain high amounts of cholesterol, they do not, I repeat, they do not increase the risk of heart disease in healthy individuals.
All right, we're finally getting into some interesting science. Now, he made the claim that eggs do not increase risk of cardiovascular disease, and rather than actually showing a research paper on screen, at least showing the abstract and the results or something, he just showed the PubMed ID. I don't know why he did that. He referenced research before and actually showed the study, but now he's just flashing the PubMed ID on screen. Interesting, but we can still take a look. So here is the study that Tanner referenced in his video. You can see it has the same PubMed ID. It is titled The Golden Egg, Nutritional Value, Bioactivities, and Emerging Benefits for Human Health. Now, remember, Tanner claimed this paper proves eggs do not cause or contribute to cardiovascular disease. That is what he claimed. Now, if you actually read the paper, the authors have something very different to say. So if you scroll down to the section titled Lipids, where they discuss the issue of saturated fat and cholesterol in an egg, you will see they state, these data all concur to corroborate that egg is not associated with higher cardiovascular disease incidence in healthy patients. However, egg intake has to be controlled in hyper-responders to dietary cholesterol, about 15 to 25% of the population, as an increase in egg consumption in these people affects plasma lipids to a greater extent than in hypo-responders. So they're not saying blanketly eggs do not contribute or cause heart disease. They're just saying that most people, when they consume eggs, they do not see a significant rise in their serum cholesterol score from eating eggs, and thus it should not have a substantial impact to the risk of heart disease. However, about 15 to 25% of the population, this is not the case. So you're talking about 1 in 4 individuals on average. They have to monitor their egg or cholesterol intake because they will see a substantial increase to their serum cholesterol score, and thus an increase to their risk of heart disease. So this paper does not suggest eggs have no link to heart disease risk. They are very much stating that yes, eggs do have a link to heart disease risk, at least in hyper responders, which make up about 1 in 4 people. So Tanner, I'm just interested. Are you stupid? Like, are you not able to read? Can you not understand words? Or did you just not bother reading the study at all? Were all those, like, letters and everything, was that too intimidating for you to actually bother to sit down and read it and understand it? Or did you just deliberately lie? Did you just find some random study about eggs and you figured you'd lie to everybody saying, oh yeah, the study shows eggs are healthy, and then you just figured nobody would read it and they just believe you? Which is it? Are you stupid? Do you not know how to read? Are you a liar? I'd like to know. But I'm sure some of you are wondering, why are some people hyper responders to cholesterol? Why is it that some people who eat eggs, they don't see a significant rise in their serum cholesterol score, but other people, when they eat eggs, their cholesterol goes up pretty substantially? Well, part of that reason is due to genetics. There are genetic differences in the population where some people might respond differently to a given food. But another reason is that the association between an increase in your serum cholesterol in response to an increase in dietary cholesterol is not linear. So this is a very good study that I suggest you all read. It's titled Effects of Dietary Cholesterol on Serum Cholesterol, a Meta-Analysis and Review. Now, what they showed in this meta-analysis is that, again, the link between dietary cholesterol and your serum cholesterol is not linear. So what that means is, as you keep adding cholesterol to your daily diet, you'll see an ever-decreasing effect on your serum cholesterol score, where the biggest change to your serum cholesterol score in response to a dietary change will occur when you go from a baseline cholesterol intake of 0, so say you're on a vegan diet, and then you add 2 or 3 eggs to your daily diet. You will see roughly a 10 to 15% increase in your serum cholesterol score. It could be higher if you're a hyper responder. It could be as high as, say, 25%. But if you're already consuming 500 milligrams of daily cholesterol per day and you add another 500 milligrams, you'll see a much smaller increase to your serum cholesterol score. It might only be a few percent. So that is why a lot of research will show eggs do not increase serum cholesterol score. It's because this research is flawed. They do not take into account that there is a nonlinear association between dietary cholesterol and your serum cholesterol score. So if you have a population of people who are already consuming roughly 2 or 3 eggs per day, equivalent of dietary cholesterol, and you add another few eggs to their daily diet, you're probably only going to see, for most people, an increase of maybe 1, 2, 3% to their serum cholesterol score, which is not particularly significant. But if you take a population of vegans or vegetarians who consume little to no cholesterol, if you add a significant amount of cholesterol to their daily diet, you will see a substantial rise to their serum cholesterol score, and thus they will have an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. Elevated serum cholesterol is the principal risk factor for cardiovascular disease, which Tanner, in his video, agrees with. There's no dispute here as to whether or not high cholesterol is linked to heart disease.
When LDL cholesterol levels are elevated, it accumulates in the arterial walls, which causes inflammation and oxidation, which can lead to development of heart disease and other complications such as diabetes or stroke over time.
So if Tanner is going to agree that elevated serum cholesterol is the principal risk factor for heart disease, then he is also going to have to agree that eggs are a risk factor for heart disease due to them increasing your serum cholesterol score. So much for eggs being a superfood.
This nonsense all started in the 1970s when studies inaccurately claimed that eggs increase the risk of heart disease in healthy people. However, recent research suggests the contrary, and that eating eggs does not increase the risk of heart disease.
All right, so once again, Tanner does not actually show the study on screen and instead just flashes the PubMed ID. I don't know why he's doing this, but again, let's take a look at the study and see if this confirms his claim. So here is the study that Tanner's referring to. You can confirm it's the same study due to the PubMed ID, dietary fat intake, and the risk of coronary heart disease in women. So again, Tanner's claiming this study proves that eggs are not implicated in heart disease risk. Well, if you go to the conclusion, our findings suggest that replacing saturated fat and unsaturated fats with unhydrogenated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fat is more effective in preventing coronary heart disease in women than reducing overall fat intake. So the study had nothing to do with egg intake. It had nothing to do with cholesterol. It was just about seeing whether or not replacing saturated fat with poly or monounsaturated fat reduced heart disease risk, and lo and behold, it did. What does this have to do with his claim that eggs are not responsible for heart disease risk? Nothing.
And studies have shown there's also no credible link between dietary cholesterol and blood cholesterol.
Okay, so we already went over the data showing that dietary cholesterol does in fact raise serum cholesterol. So Tanner's just wrong here. I've already proved him wrong, but just for fun, let's take a look at the PubMed ID article that he flashed on screen again. So here's the study that Tanner was referring to, and again, you can confirm this is the same paper he was referring to due to the PubMed ID. Rethinking dietary cholesterol. And again, instead of just taking Tanner's word for it, we're actually going to read some of this. So if you go to the recent findings section in the abstract, although numerous clinical studies have shown that dietary cholesterol challenges may increase plasma LDL cholesterol in certain individuals who are more sensitive to dietary cholesterol, about 1/4 of the population, 1 in 4 people, HDL cholesterol also rises, resulting in the maintenance of the LDL to HDL cholesterol ratio, key marker of CHD risk. So this paper acknowledges that in many individuals, 1 in 4 people, you will see a substantive increase in LDL cholesterol from eating eggs. So this paper does not show that eggs do not increase serum cholesterol. They are admitting that in many individuals, a substantive amount of the population, if you eat eggs, you will see a rise in your LDL bad cholesterol. So either Tanner didn't read this article or he's just lying again. Again, it would be interesting if he does a response and, just clarifies if he's either a liar or just stupid. And again, we already know that eggs will increase the serum cholesterol of anybody, not just hyper-responders. The reason why you see some hypo-responders is because they're already consuming a substantive amount of cholesterol, and the association between increases in serum cholesterol and dietary cholesterol are not linear. So again, if Tanner's going to agree that elevated LDL cholesterol is a principal risk factor for heart disease risk, then he is going to have to admit that eggs are not a superfood.
Foods rich in cholesterol does not increase your cholesterol levels. What actually increases cholesterol? Eating a diet high in carbohydrates, not cholesterol, is the primary factor of high cholesterol levels. As studies show that eating more than 60% of your calories from carbohydrates, which most people do, raises blood cholesterol levels. And how is this surprising? Carbs spike your insulin levels, which causes the cells in your body to produce more LDL cholesterol, which is the bad kind. And when LDL cholesterol levels are elevated, it accumulates in the arterial walls, which causes inflammation and oxidation, which can lead to development of heart disease and other complications such as diabetes or stroke over time. So by eating eggs and other foods that are low in sugars and carbohydrates, also known as eggs and meat, you lower insulin and stabilize your cholesterol levels.
So this is probably the dumbest thing he said in his entire video, which is quite an accomplishment. First of all, high carbohydrate diets do not elevate your LDL cholesterol score. In fact, the opposite is true. Low carbohydrate diets are associated with an elevated LDL, so go figure. He also made a pretty big dum-dum. He claimed that insulin is responsible for elevating your LDL cholesterol. Well, he doesn't seem to understand that protein is also insulinogenic. Both carbohydrates and protein require insulin to be metabolized, and certain proteins are far more insulinogenic than others. Whey protein, for instance, is almost as insulinogenic as pure glucose, and guess what? Tanner happens to sell whey protein on his website. So if he's going to claim insulin and net insulin secretion is responsible for heart disease via increasing your serum cholesterol score, then Tanner is going to have to admit that the whey protein he sells will give you heart disease because of how insulinogenic it is. Great job, moron. You did a big dum-dum.
You must also understand you cannot survive without cholesterol. Even if you purposely avoid cholesterol, which you shouldn't, your body produces cholesterol endogenously. And for all the dudes out there, without cholesterol, you cannot synthesize testosterone. Another reason why eating whole eggs, not just egg whites, has been shown to increase strength, muscle, and testosterone.
So he said a few misleading things here and a few stupid things. First of all, he tried to make it seem as though cholesterol is an essential nutrient. It is not. You do not need to eat cholesterol in your diet, like he said. Your own body produces it, so it's not an essential nutrient, and there is no benefit to consuming any dietary cholesterol. Secondly, he also tried to suggest that, oh, well, since testosterone is made from cholesterol, increasing your serum cholesterol is going to boost your testosterone. That is not the case. Neither dietary cholesterol nor serum cholesterol is associated with testosterone scores in men. In fact, vegans, people who eat zero cholesterol in their daily diet, tend to have higher total testosterone levels than meat eaters. So, go figure. So much for eggs increasing your testosterone. Again, dude, I can outlift you. I eat zero cholesterol. How do you explain that? Maybe you're just not eating the superfood tofu.
Now, what about my cholesterol? Well, before I reveal my cholesterol, both before and after consuming over 250 eggs, we need more context. So let's watch this quick clip of Dr. Stan Ekberg, who's smarter than 99% of people, as he discusses the research of total cholesterol as it's related to all-cause mortality in a cohort study of 12.8 million people.
Now let's superimpose that color scale from the previous slide.
So I'm just going to interrupt here to clarify something. Now, Tanner mentioned Stan Ekberg, calling him smarter than 99% of people, and also referring to him as a doctor. Well, Stan Ekberg is not a doctor because he's a chiropractor. So he is not an MD, he is not a medical doctor, he is a doctor of chiropractic, which is a pretty big difference than a medical doctor. So this guy you're about to listen to has absolutely no medical training, no special expertise that will let him better understand research or anything like that. He is just a chiropractor, and for those of you who don't know, chiropractic is a scam. It is bullshit. It is pseudoscience. The guy who developed chiropractic was actually a faith healer, basically. He claimed that he had a religious experience where he hallucinated God telling him that if you crack people's spines, it will release special healing powers from the body, and you can cure disease that way. That is the origin of chiropractic care. So this guy, Stan Ekberg, again, he is not a medical doctor. He only attended a quack chiropractic college and has no idea of what he's talking about. But Tanner decided to cherry pick this individual, not represent his credentials accurately, referring to him as a doctor, which could mislead people into thinking he's a medical doctor, when again, he is just a quack chiropractor, and we're about to listen to his stupid bullshit.
Where the green zone is lower in the mainstream, in the current model, less cholesterol is always better, they say. But when we see how the so-called safe zone has the highest risk of all-cause death, we kind of start questioning that, right? And what they call the danger zone, over 240, anything over 200 is at risk or in danger. And that is where the curve is the lowest. That's the almost flat portion of the curve, where the lowest risk is what they call the danger zone.
So as you saw, total cholesterol levels between 200 and 250 milliliters per deciliter, which is considered high in the so-called danger zone, is actually the ideal range and has the lowest risk of all-cause mortality.
Okay, so the reason you see a U-shaped curve with mortality and cholesterol is due to reverse causation. This is a problem in many prospective cohort studies, and it's not just a problem with cholesterol research. I've also seen this problem arise in obesity research, where people who are technically at a healthy body weight have a higher risk of mortality compared to overweight individuals. The reason for this is reverse causation. Disease is causing changes to a person's appetite or metabolism, and it is lowering their cholesterol or lowering their body weight. And because they have a disease, that is falsely causing this association with low cholesterol or lower body weight and an increased risk of death. It is not the low cholesterol or lower BMI that is triggering, disease and death to occur. It's that there is another problem, like, say, cancer or liver disease or something, that is lowering your cholesterol or lowering your BMI and then killing you. And again, a lot of prospective cohort studies just don't have the power to eliminate these sorts of confounding variables and eliminate the possibility of reverse causation. That's why randomized trials are such a good thing, particularly for cholesterol. That's why Mendelian randomization studies are so good, because they can actually look at cholesterol over time and not just at any single particular instance, when the study started. And lo and behold, people who have genetically lower cholesterol have a better chance of avoiding death. They tend to live longer, and you see a higher frequency of these alleles in elderly populations. You also see in intervention studies, cholesterol lowering is associated with a lower risk of all-cause mortality. So again, if you're going to claim that low cholesterol is responsible for, early death, why don't we see that in Mendelian randomization studies? Why don't we see this in intervention studies where cholesterol lowering is a target? It's because of reverse causation. You're just scientifically illiterate, don't understand these things, you don't care to learn about anything, and you just seek out chiropractic idiots on the internet who will just support your stupid bias.
Now, what's my cholesterol? Well, I got a blood test before eating 36 eggs a day, and my total cholesterol was 204 milligrams per deciliter. And then exactly 7 days and over 250 eggs later, I got another blood test, and guess what? My total cholesterol was 211 milligrams per deciliter.
So this isn't anything to brag about. Both before and after your egg experiment, your cholesterol would put you in the high risk range for heart disease. So congratulations! The only reason you didn't see a substantive increase to your serum cholesterol score after eating all of these eggs is just because your diet was already shit before. As we already learned in this video, there's not a linear relationship between increases in dietary cholesterol and increases in serum cholesterol. So you were already eating a high cholesterol diet before you did this experiment. Adding any more cholesterol to your diet just didn't have a substantial effect. But if you want to get heart disease, have fun. I'd love to see you fucking rot in the ground. But if anybody disagrees with me on this video, including Tanner, I'd be willing to debate you publicly live. So if you disagree, I don't know why you'd bother making a response video or anything. Debate offers on the table, so just message me on Instagram and we can set up a debate about this whole cholesterol topic. I don't know what there is to debate because you're clearly wrong and dumb, but I offered. And make sure to leave a like on the video, share it, blah, 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 whatever, subscribe. See you later.